Last week, mere minutes after our Tuesday evening recording session, we were both delighted and quite disheartened by Kevin's actions when Marvel Studios dropped its Look Ahead Disney Plus trailer, which not only provided release dates, but showcased our first official look at footage for a whopping 8 streaming projects. Here's what we learned. Box office juggernaut Deadpool and Wolverine will be available to stream on the platform beginning November 12th, 2024. We already knew Daredevil Born Again is set to be streaming March 4th, 2025, but the trailer, which was intercut with footage from the other shows, gave us our first look at the villain Muse, the return of John Bernthal's Punisher, as well as Bullseye, and perhaps most surprisingly, the inclusion of Miss Marvel's dad, Yusuf Khan. What If Season 3 will begin streaming this December 22nd with no word on whether it will be weekly or a daily release like last year. Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man will begin airing January 29th, 2025. Riri Williams' Ironheart makes her return beginning June 24th, 2025. Eyes of Wakanda, the animated anthology series, is set for August 6th, 2025 debut, and Marvel Zombies will premiere sometime in October 2025 with the live-action Wonder Man series starring Yahya Abdul-Mateen II arriving later that December. Quite a lot to unpack here. Where do we start?
We start by being excited because we're going to be so back next year, baby. But also, this isn't following the format that Marvel Studios said they were going to do. They said we were going to do 3 movies and 2 shows a year, and this is 3 movies and like 6 shows So where's the discrepancy here? I don't know.
Well, I think 3 of them are animated.
Yeah, but still. So I feel like you could guarantee maybe some of these later ones in the year next year might get pushed. I think don't be surprised if that happens. But this is so exciting. This is a great slate. I think kicking it off, kind of ending this year with What If will be fun. Animated, starting the year with animation with Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man will be fun. I know I'm really looking forward to the Eyes of Wakanda anthology series because Brad Winderbaum said that was going to be really connected to the MCU. So I'm really curious just to see what he meant by that. And maybe he was lying to us, as they do at Marvel, as we know. So I'm looking forward to all of it. New characters, some fresh characters, new takes on characters we love. Let's effing go.
Yeah. I won't go too long talking about this because I talked about it ad nauseum yesterday on the MCU cast. If you guys want to check that out, it's on our YouTube channel as well, where you can watch our full breakdown where we did a frame by frame and tried to look at all the characters that are showing up in all these shows. And it's a lot. It's so much. It's just like, we've never had them release a trailer like this. We've had lots of these like look ahead trailers, but it's normally shows we've seen a lot from. This is the first time we've ever gotten like 8 or 9 series we know nothing about, and like just dropped all this content at once. It was a wild thing to go through, and just like freeze framing and being like, I'm not even sure what show this is. Like, this is one of the shows. Really having to almost decipher the trailer. It was interesting. I'm excited. I agree with Haley that I think it's kind of pushing against the idea of them doing 3 movies and 2 shows, even just the live action. It's 3 movies and 3 shows. So it's a lot. But we'll see. We'll see how it works out. I'm very, very excited about every one of the projects. Don't get it twisted. I do share the like, are we oversaturating? Because like, I know that it's hard when we read a whole series of dates, but it's like January we got one, February we got a movie, March we got a TV show, May we have a movie, June we have a TV show, July we have a movie, and then it skips a couple months, and then it's like October and December.
It does give me 2021 PTSD a little bit.
Absolutely.
Well, Haley, you said you want to start with excitement. I want to start with revenge against specifically Kevin Feige, because he did release this trailer literally, you said literally minutes, and it literally was minutes after we finished our recording of this program last week and posted it on Disney Plus for all of the Agatha viewers to see. And I feel like there was a little bit of intentionality behind that, personally. Kevin, if you're listening, you are on the list. You are on the list. And overall, I sort of share the same sentiments with you all. It's an eyebrow raise, right? Because we were accustomed to the idea, or the plan at least, that Bob Iger laid out, that Marvel Studios would be turning down the faucet a little bit on their content and slowing down. And we saw that this year. We saw Deadpool and Wolverine be the only theatrical release that Marvel Studios had this year. And we saw a couple shows here and there like Echo and Agatha, but it was a light year, right, for what we were used to with Marvel Studios. And we sort of thought that would be the formula going forward. And now we're coming up on 2025. We're going to have 9 different projects to take in throughout the year. And it's going to be an interesting experiment, right? Because we've seen Marvel when it did go all out in terms of content production. Whenever we were getting Miss Marvel and Moon Knight and She-Hulk and all of these shows coming at us just rapid fire all the time, and it didn't quite work out to the best results. I mean, people who are fans, obviously, if you listen to this, you probably liked all of those shows and you probably have fond memories of watching all those shows. But just from a business standpoint, like, these did not top the ratings charts. You know, there were not like a lot of people rushing to Disney Plus and signing up to watch all of the shows. So I think what we may start to see is a further moving away from the connectivity of specifically the shows. I mean, we've seen them rebrand as Marvel Television very intentionally. We know that at the beginning, like WandaVision, that's how it was pitched. You got to watch this. It's going to connect to the movies. But we've sort of seen a backing away of that a little bit. You've still got the Easter eggs. You've still got the references. You'll see a character pop up every once in a while. But for the most part, these are self-contained stories. We just saw Agatha. We saw no Scarlet Witch. We saw Loki. We did not see Thor. You know, it's like we're starting to see these like self-contained stories a bit, a la Echo, a la Agatha. And I think we'll continue to see that. So we'll see more projects. We'll see Ironheart. We'll see Wonder Man, but I would imagine that these will make an effort to disconnect from that giant web that's going to be weaved with these like big event. I mean, think about the films we have: Captain America, Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four, these like gigantic team up movies, multiple characters, big budgets on the screen. I think the shows are going to try to differentiate themselves from that a little bit. So we're still seeing some experimentation with Marvel Studios, and it'll be interesting to check in a year from now and say, how did it go for them ultimately?
Haley, I love the fact that you kick things off with the excitement. And I think it's really important to emphasize and reaffirm that, because this was an awesome sizzle reel. I think it clocked in right around 1 minute and 27 seconds, but just jam-packed. And Matt, to your point, I had a hard time distinguishing, which show is which. They're all kind of going back and forth here. But I do want to hone in on some of the specifics and some of the things we haven't talked about specifically here. First and foremost, Daredevil Born Again, our first official look at footage from this thing. The series I am the most excited for, the series we got to see the most from. One of the things I did not expect, and maybe I should have been anticipating this with the title Born Again and the fact that we are, so far removed from those first 3 seasons on Netflix. There was a shot where Matt goes to reach for his billy club or batons out of like a case, and I got the sense, it's been a while. He's hung up the suit. You don't see that in any of the action. It doesn't seem like he's missed a beat at all. But I did find that a little interesting and kind of curious. It's like, okay, he's kind of picking the mantle back up, which is a trope we've seen from a lot of heroes. So that doesn't necessarily excite me all that much. I'm hoping that's something that happens within the first couple of episodes. But I love seeing the suit on display. I love season 3, but one of my complaints was we didn't have enough of the red suit. It was Bullseye. Spoilers for Daredevil season 3, but we had Bullseye in the red suit. And I just love getting to see Matt in the suit. All the action that's on display here. The relationship with Wilson Fisk seems like it's going to be incredibly interesting there. I won't spend too much time on other properties, but in the animation realm, I am incredibly excited for Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, just based on the animation style. It really evoked feelings of like a video game for me. I felt like we were in a 3D environment and the camera was making full use of that, like panning around and whatnot. And then Eyes of Wakanda, a lot of people, I've seen the discourse online, they are describing it as similar to What If. And it is similar, but I do not think it's the same. We only got like 1-2 shots, ever so brief. I did my own little frame by frame, and I am picking up on the fact that these characters are a lot more stylized. So
yeah, almost anime-esque compared to what the What If stuff is like.
Yeah, and I like What If. I think it serves its purpose in What If, and I think it makes sense that zombies would continue that thread having been spun off from that show. But it excites me to get to see different types of animation, especially in Eyes of Wakanda and Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man.
So I definitely identify with all the comments so far, but I do feel like we did spend a lot of time talking about the worries. Can we go around and just say like what other than Daredevil? Because I feel like I may be wrong, but I feel like everyone that would be their top pick. What are you most excited for other than Daredevil in these 8 series?
It's Wonder Man for me. It just seems like such a unproven entity, and just that little snippet there. Hey, Simon Williams auditioning for Wonder Man. What is the story there, and how does he actually become Wonder Man? Is it a meta thing? Does he actually get superhero powers? Are we going to get to see an entirely different side of the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Yeah, like I said, there's a lot that we don't know, but that's what excites me. It seems so different.
I'll jump in because that's my answer too.
Okay, cool.
and I loved the take that they've got so far for Wonder Man, and yeah, I'm 50-50 on whether he'll get powers, and that's kind of an exciting place to be. Like, I don't know, maybe we'll get another trailer and it'll be all about how he gets powers at some point, and that's the character in comics does have powers, but he's also an actor. This version though, like how cool, we've talked about it on MCU Cast and maybe here about the idea of like getting to know the culture of the MCU, like the internal culture of what's going on, and the idea that they're building some sort of cinematic universe. There's a shot in the trailer, and this is a supposition because I don't know. There's a guy, he kind of looks like Einstein. He's got crazy hair, and he's looking up at a big wall full of pictures.
Very early on in the trailer, yeah.
Yeah, really early on in the trailer, but it's not connected to anything. I have no idea what it's from, but I think it might be, because it looks like a mood board, I think it might be like a producer explaining what Wonder Man, how Wonder Man is going to fit into the cinematic universe. Like, it's got all these pictures of aliens that look kind of Marvel-esque, but aren't. And I'm wondering if this is like, we talked about the show, the franchise, it's been running on HBO, and how it's like a send-up of Marvel, but it's not loving at all. And I'm wondering if this might be something like that, but in the MCU, and this like meta look, like kind of She-Hulk-esque, but a meta look at what it is to be a production studio making Marvel movies, but in this case, they're actually in the universe where the heroes exist. I think it sounds really fun.
Yeah.
I think Ironheart looks really interesting too. I want to call that one out because the suit looks cool. It's cool to see how it's working. It seems to be a change up from where we left that character in Wakanda Forever, and there just seems to be like a set direction here for this character. We know that the Young Avengers are being built in the background. We've seen Wiccan make his debut. We've seen Miss Marvel gather Kate Bishop to the team, and you would imagine there'll be some sort of a connection with that team that's being built, I would think, by the end of this. We know that there's like a mystical connection here in Ironheart, which I think is fascinating, the idea of technology versus like magic and what that kind of looks like. The Mephisto rumors are flying about Ironheart, that this will be where we meet Mephisto for the first time, which is really interesting. So I think that's really cool. I mean, I'm excited to see what's going to happen with that character. I definitely, Daredevil is number one because I think it does stand out above the other ones. To me, like just based on what we've got in this sizzle reel, I think the reshoots really did that film a lot of good, like moving away from the 20 episodes, saying, you know what, maybe we shouldn't reboot this thing, maybe we should connect it to the old Netflix universe, which was not the way it was at the beginning. Like, at the beginning they said, no, this is a reboot with Charlie Cox, new character, but then they sort of changed course, and clearly that was the right move. So, but yeah, Ironheart looks like an interesting summer watch for sure.
Absolutely. What about you, Haley?
Stick with Eyes of Wakanda. Like, Brad Winderbaum really did hook me by saying it's the most connected to the MCU. And I want to see what a true anthology series in the MCU looks like. That's what they said What If was, and that's not what If ended up being at the end of the day. So give me a real anthology series. Tell me different stories. And Wakanda is such a rich world in the comics and on the screen. Like, there's so many cool things that happen there. So that's my favorite. I'm looking forward to.
I am glad that Ironheart got brought up because I'm with you, Jay. I love the footage that was shown. It actually restored a lot of confidence in that series for me, but it does remain the one that I'm the most concerned for, and that's primarily from the release slate. We're talking about how full this year looks like in June, right after, Brave New World, right into Daredevil, right into Thunderbolts, and before Fantastic Four. That's where I think they run the risk of a little bit of fatigue. And I could see, and June is a time where, oftentimes Star Wars has something come out in June. You've got multiple blockbusters coming out in June. So like Haley, like you said at the very top, you wouldn't be surprised if one of these gets moved. I kind of hope at least one of them does get moved just to spread things out a little bit, and I hope Ironheart doesn't get lost, or any of these get lost in the shuffle for that matter.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, there's a gap between Fantastic Four and the October release of Zombies.
I think we have something in August, do we not?
You're right, there is something in August, and I'm not remembering what it is.
Eyes of Wakanda.
Eyes of Wakanda.
Oh, Eyes of Wakanda.
Yeah.
Okay, that's right.
Early August too, August 6th.
I do think
that'll be right after Fantastic Four.
Yeah,
You're
but
right.
they still got a 2-month gap there, but September. I guess just September. Lord, this year is packed. Goodness.
It's a lot. Like, honestly, from a podcasting perspective, when I look at that from like what we do on source pages, I'm like, oh my God, this is seriously like 2021 again. Like, this is so much, but it's exciting. I do think something will get pushed. But to your point, Matt, some of these are animated, and we know that not everybody watches every single thing. And so while we might get fatigued because we're in the trenches on it, not everybody will.
Yeah.
And so hopefully that means it all works out.
I think you're right, but I think that to I guess Jay Scotty's point about June, like that is right in the middle of all the live action stuff. Like Wonder Man is set off by itself in December, but all the other live action stuff is packed between February and July. And so right at the tail end when we're all excited, and it seems like if they do it 1 week at a time, like they have done with most of their series, most of their live action series, with the exception of Echo, it will run over Fantastic Four. So like it will start, and it will. Yeah. But then I don't think it's a good idea to echo it either, where they throw it all up at once. Like that seems, I hate that.
2 episodes a week. Yeah. 2 episodes a week.
Well, they could do the
daily release.
What if? Yeah, the daily release, like What If, and that is still at least you can have some sort of water cooler conversation around it. Something like that, but.
Last thing here, I think it's kind of fitting that none of us brought up Deadpool and Wolverine because I think it's come and gone.
I said let's fucking go.
Sure, you did. Credit where credit is due. But I just wanted to say, as a veteran, you got November 11th, Veterans Day. A lot of veterans have that day off. You couldn't have dropped it then. I'm not chomping at the bit to see it again. I've seen it 4 times, but still.
Are you speaking as a veteran, Scotty?
I am speaking as a veteran, of course.
Thank you for your service.
Oh yeah.
I feel like we're really giving Jay Scotty a hard time tonight.
No, I'm being sincere.
Yeah, he missed last week. It's
he
Scotty is a veteran.
Yeah. We're rehazing him.
Yeah. I'm sure this feels light.
I do have the occasional nightmare where I'm back in like boot camp or something, and I'm like, what life choices did I make that while?
Why?
I can't get off the ship.
Yeah, I can't. Oof.
I like that we're laughing at your pain. Sorry.
That's okay. It's the only way to heal from it.
Yeah, it's always funny when someone says something that's like really is traumatic, but they say it laughing, so you don't want to like not laugh with them and not like take it in the spirit it's given, but you're also like running the risk of them being like, all right, calm down. It's not that funny.
Hey, he gave us the green light, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.